Mizio, what's up, dude?
What's going on?
I love it. So, today we're going to talk about metacognition. So, we had a guest article go up by Jonathan Todd a few weeks back, and we wanted to unpack that topic a little bit more because honestly, it's really interesting
Yeah, super
and
interesting.
super interesting. And it was a great article, super well written. And so, we're going to get into it. So, the first one I've got for you, my friend, is what do you feel like the right balance between hard and soft skills in cybersecurity really is? And why in the world does that matter?
Yeah. So it's a good one. I think so. You got to have the tech skills, right? You have to show up. I think in especially well, let's say this, right? In a lot of the cybersecurity positions, talking like your SOC analyst, your AppSec folks, your forensics people, you have to understand the tech, right? And
Yeah,
and
for
there's
sure.
there's no two ways about it. And so like I feel like that is the barrier for entry.
Hmm.
But then the soft skills are the differentiator, right? I think for me, so like an even keel of forensics folks, right? Everybody knows how to work FTK, and everybody knows how to work on the tools and how to sift through memory and do all that fun stuff. The differentiator is being able to talk about it, right? Being able to tell folks about it, being able to explain it to somebody that at many different levels, right? Being able to explain it to somebody with that's also works in tech but may not understand the nuances of a
Right.
memory acquisition, all the way to somebody that works in HR, right? And so to me, like the dividing it up, I don't really think of it that way. I think of it more along those lines as upskill.
I think that's a good way to think about it. I mean, if we had to carve it up, I
Mm.
think I think I would probably like split it right down the middle. And this is just me personally. I mean, if I'm going to spend time on any kind of skills development or bettering myself, that sort of thing, if you're only focused on getting better hard skills, technical skills, and you're not investing in any of your communication skills, the way you manage your time, the way you take care of yourself, all of that other stuff, your writing, your speaking, your critical thinking, etc., then your technical skills are going to suffer, which I think speaks to what you are getting at, is that these things complement one another. And if you're a really good communicator and you've got some amount of technical skills, then your technical skills are going to look much more impressive because you're able to communicate them well. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like going into the way that I've talked about this with other folks is like going into a fight with one hand tied behind your back.
Yeah.
Or, if you're sort of thinking about it on this 100% spectrum, and if you did carve it up 50-50, then you could get, let's say 80% of 50% ends up being 40%. And so if your 40% of your technical skills are really awesome,
Hold on, wait. Let me get my calculator out.
oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
you can check me on that. So if your technical skills are really really awesome, then but your soft skills are deplorable, then you might be sitting at 40% of the whole thing if you need to kind of wrap numbers around it. It's just they are definitely complementary, but it's sort of a yin and a yang, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I because I think So I think we're going to have, like, we have a contingent of folks that are just not, that where they got into hard tech to do hard tech, and
Sure.
are happy doing hard tech, and that's it. And but I think that, so like those are folks that are kind of happy in their in that day-to-day arena.
Yeah.
If you want to move anywhere, right, it past banging on the keyboard all day, and you need to be able to communicate your work, right? And so
Yeah.
you need
Even
to
that though.
you need to be able to write a report. You need to be able
Mhm.
to explain that report to folks, right? You have to
Yep.
be able to throw together a slide deck. It's just,
Yeah. Even that though, if you're in that banging on the keyboard all day, heads down, doing your thing. So I started my career off doing a lot of pen testing, and I've worked with a lot of really incredible pen testers, some of whom could not communicate very well,
yeah.
either in writing or live sort of report out format, and some of whom could communicate extremely well. And you take the same technical work and you present it. If two different people present it, totally different outcome. And you actually end up moving the needle more with a less technically superior product that is presented more effectively than a more technically superior product that is presented ineffectively, in my opinion.
No, yeah, I like that comparison. That's good. It makes me think of, a while back we did an article on, on testifying in court, because that's
Yeah.
kind of it's a similar thing where, I mean, you could be writing bash scripts with your eyelashes, right? Like,
Right.
it's going to be, you could be knocking it out. But
Hmm.
when it comes to sitting on the stand, and telling 12 people what you did,
Yeah.
like, that's
Where their eyes don't start bleeding and their brains leaking out of their ears because you're just over jargonizing them.
right. Yeah, you're just not, and at that point you're not an effective expert, right? You're there
Yeah.
to be if you're an expert witness, you're there to explain all that hard stuff in a way
Hmm.
that
It's
the
compelling.
judge and the jury and the lawyers and everybody else can understand that work. And so if you can't do that, like, I mean, all the tech in the world is not going to save you
Yeah.
in that situation.
Right. Right. So let's say you are in that heads down, really hardcore technical role. You're doing your thing. How do you start to invest in being more self-aware of your abilities and sort of, and I think this kind of drifts into, well, I mean, this is very pointedly, kind of touching on the metacognition point of Jonathan's original article. Like, how do we think about the things that we're thinking about, and why does that matter? And just how do we elevate ourselves into that place of being more aware so we can be better at what we do?
Hmm. I think in a lot of arenas and a lot of realms, I think, especially, in the communications area. Like, I'll give an example. We're gonna, talk for another, whatever, 5-10 minutes, and then we're gonna go off and do our own things. And
Yep.
I'm gonna watch this video, and I'm gonna find, I guarantee, a bunch of stuff that I don't like. That I'm sure my head's going to move in a funky way. Maybe I touched my nose. Did I say too many times? Like, it's something. There's going to be something, right? And so, presenting yourself with your work, and thinking about it, critically, I think it, is really important. When we come to, back to, like, the communications part of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. I got a really good tip. I wish I could remember where it came from so I could properly attribute it. But it was basically when you're making a decision or doing a thing, write down somewhere. Doesn't have to be big and official, but write down somewhere what you think is going to happen, what you think the outcome is going to be. And then a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 90 days, a year later, whatever it happens to be, look back on what you thought was going to happen and what actually did happen and
Okay.
evaluate how well you did at forecasting your circumstances and the situation and all and your response to those things, all of that, and then continue to adapt and improve, because we have this tendency for our memories to, you know, so I read dorky things like philosophy and stuff sometimes, and when somebody says something big and deep like the past is not really fixed, it's like, oh man, what does that really mean? And what they're getting at when they say things like that is not the physical events change, but our perception and our memories about the past continues to evolve based on our biases and what we remember at any given point in time and all of and so and if the past is really just this kind of figment of our memory, then it's really easy to have this self-confirming bias kick in if something went bad or something went well, and think like, oh yeah, I knew it was going to go that way, and not actually reflecting on where you were when you set that particular thing in motion. And so writing it down gives you something to look back on. And that has been, in my experience, so I started to do that, and I have learned a lot about myself in just that really simple little process. And sometimes I'll send myself an email and snooze it, and that way, in a year I'll like get this thing pop back up on my on my calendar or my email, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, I had that totally wrong, or wow, I was actually pretty good on that front. That's interesting. I should, what can I take from that and apply it to my current circumstances. So
So
yeah, go ahead.
no, yeah. So you like in the moment, right? Recent, take some notes
Hmm.
about what happened, and then and then use that like you
Yeah,
said,
that's right.
time frame wise, you're looking at like 6 months, a year out.
Yeah, yeah. So at some point in the future, even when the situation is done, so like you could do it on a short term, in a really short term turnaround, or something that's much longer. So let's say let's say you've got a big project kicking off, or even like you're gonna host a meeting or something. Write down how you think that's going to go, and all of that. Just quick little blurb, does not have to be overly complicated, and then do the thing, and then look back on how you thought it actually went, and compare that to how you thought it was going to go, and just the delta in those things is really powerful. And then building on that, that's just your own dialogue with yourself. You could also do the obvious thing and ask other people for feedback on
Right.
how you're doing, and check back in with them on how you're, Frank, am I doing well at this job? Don't answer that right now. And
Well,
kidding.
the last 3 minutes have been fascinating. Anything before that, when we have to talk.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate that. I'll follow back up with you in 6 months to see if you feel similarly. But actually asking people how you are doing, and that can poke holes in the biases that we carry into our daily experiences, and that is also just a really powerful thing. And you've got to be open and ready to take the feedback for what it is, and that's really important too. You can't get defensive.
Yeah, that's a skill right in itself.
Yep. Yeah, we should do a post on that. that's
You
that's
should.
probably useful. Probably more for me than anyone else, but
Well, that's
yeah.
the
Well,
best part
so
about writing these articles is, a lot of
oh,
times I'm just talking to myself.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, my friend. Well, we have hit the 15-minute mark, and we want to keep these things short, sweet, impactful, useful, hopefully, for everyone who is listening or watching. So thank you so much if you dialed in. whether you're on iTunes, Spotify, Google, YouTube, wherever, whatever platform you are on. If you found this useful, I'm going to encourage you to share it with a friend, like it, comment on it, subscribe, all of those things. Your feedback on the show, on this podcast, helps other people find it. And that is really core to our mission. We want everyone in cybersecurity to be more well-rounded, more effective, more impactful in their work because they are taking that complementary approach to all the amazing tech skills they have and actually making them work for them. So thank you so much, everyone. Again, my name is Rob Wood. And as always, Frank DiMizio here with me. So thank you, everyone. Have an awesome day.